So, somebody was asking about picking and picking direction. With certain locks, like this goal P here, or a kick lock, you can pick in either clockwise or counterclockwise direction with the tension tool. So I'm going to try to pick this in both directions. I'm going to tell you what I feel. Now this does have gin spools, so we'll look for counter rotation. We'll use a lot of light tension, things like this. Let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see. I'll put this 50 thousandths tensioner, and we're going to go clockwise initially. I'll go straight to the back and pick back to front on this one. Sometimes I pick front to back, sometimes I pick back to front. It doesn't really matter because you can feel the pins no matter where you're at. On this one, there's 2, there's 1, 2, and I think that was, nope, I'm gonna get under 6 here. I gotta get under it so I can get there. Oop, I just lost some pins. There's 6. So that's one thing. You can see the counter rotation here. Don't be afraid to lose pins. Allow that counter rotation to push back on you. So, there you go. It's a lot of times people are worried about losing pins or dropping pins. Don't worry so much about losing your set or your fault set. That fault set is a fault set. It's not a true set. All right. So now let's try the opposite direction. So we're going to try pulling this direction and do a counterclockwise open. So I'll go front to back, or no, I'll go back to front again, just to make it consistent. So let's see if we can find pin 6 here. I think that was 6, 5. Oop, see that drops them right there. Go back to 5. There's 6. 4, come to the front. Can I find? There's 1, 2. Check 1 again. I'm gonna click on 1. Back to 5. 6 feels good. 5 feels set. 4 feels set. There's 2 and there's the open. All right. So, did I feel a difference? Not really. I can still see the same counter rotation. I still feel, and you can see the tensioner kind of bounce there. That's why I wanted to zoom in so you guys can really see that bouncing. It will bounce as I'm pushing up and getting those counter rotations and going past them, which is why I use super light tension. And as I'm pushing up on that pin's going up and it's creating that counter rotation back and forth. But as long as you are just pushing, you can kind of see my finger here. Let me zoom in so you can actually see my finger. The amount of tension I have on here. So I'm not using super heavy tension. I'm using super light. I'm almost like barely touching this, just enough to put pressure on it, and that's it. And allow that plug to move back and forth. So allow this to move. Here, I'll move my finger down here and see if you can see it better. So we'll do it one more time. So come in here, you can see it bounce when I was on pin 1 there. I'm gonna go to pin 2 and see it bounce a little bit. And I'm gonna skip 3 and go to 4 if I can find it. That was 5. There's 6. You can kind of see it jiggle. That was 5, I believe. There's 4. And usually, because of all that, I drop a pin. I'm gonna check 1 and 2 up front here. I find 2. There's some good clicks on 2. I think 1 is set. Tap 3 and 5. So you can kind of see my finger moving and jiggling right there. That's all we're trying to do is kind of just put enough tension to hold this in place. We're not pushing on this. We're just putting a finger there just to hold it so that it's not falling out. And that way there's enough tension that it's going to turn. This is a dead core, so it's going to turn. There's no spring in here pushing back on me, so I don't have to put pressure on here. But that's all we're going to do. And so for me, clockwise, counterclockwise, we'll do counterclockwise again. Again, I'm just lightly holding this, you know, just enough so it's not falling out. And I'll use a smaller end so I can see the pin. All right, so again, go in here, get under the pins. There's one. You do see a little bit of pressure on my finger. I'm looking at more at my finger than anything else right now. Come on, I'm trying to find the pins. There's 2, 4, 5, I think that was 6, oops. 6, 5, 4, and I probably lost 1 or 2 here. There's 2. The pins will stop, so they will not allow you to push past them, even with this light tension. And there you go, had to bump 6. So they'll hold you in place. It doesn't take a lot of pressure, especially with a dead core. If you have something that is spring loaded, you will have to put more pressure on that pick to kind of make sure it's moving. The harder the spring is, the more pressure you have, or the more times you have to keep checking. So I will always pick, almost always, with super light tension like this. So super light tension, and sometimes you have to kind of do this to see if it's open, because sometimes you'll actually pick it open and you won't even know. But clockwise, counterclockwise doesn't make a big difference in picking. It does in binding order in some locks with something like this where it's gin spools. Pretty much any pin that you hit is going to have some sort of binding at some point. So just let up your tension, let up your pressure, and just take it easy, nice and slow, and you'll be able to get locks like this. Gin spools, you know, standard spools, pins, any type of security pins is going to require super light tension. So I hope this helped you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you next time.